Hello. So in the previous video, we were able to ask the user to enter some value from the keyboard, whether it was a first name or a last name or just a greeting or just a name for the greeting. And we're able to see some of the output on the screen, and I can uncomment some of the work that were done last time just to remind you of what was been done. So we have an input device here that prompt the user to enter the name, and based on the name that the user is going to enter, the value is going to be stored in a device called a variable, and this device is going to keep track of the value that's been entered, and then when we print it after the greeting, it's going to show up here. So if we run this specific part of the code here, it says enter your name. So I believe the name that we used was Shannon. Let's use another name, Brian or Ryan today. And then basically the name was stored, and then it uses that name to do the greeting. So we mentioned at the end of the video that we were going to not only work with these values that are names, we can also work with other values as well, such as numbers, and these numbers could be digits of type integer or fractions, as they are known to be called floats in the world of computing. How do we ask the user to enter some values such as a number or a digit or a fraction of a sort? Well, let's give some really nice example here. Suppose you're going to the grocery store and you want to buy a bunch of items, and every item has a quantity and has a price, and you want to calculate the total price for each item. So let's just prompt the user as usual for an item name. Enter your item name that you want to enter you want to buy. So this is the item name here. That's going to store the actual value in the in this placeholder that we call the variable. Clearly, this is going to give us something similar to the name of a person here, but that's not the point. The point here is we want to make sense of what we're doing here. So we can just so we know already that we if we run this, we know that we're going to have the item name. Now we need to get the quantity of the item. So we want to get another input device and ask the person or the user to enter the quantity of the item. So here, this is the item quantity, like that. And we also want to do the price. We want the actual price per unit. So we are going to also ask the user to enter the price per unit. Enter the price per unit. And this is going to be the item price. It's really nice to use descriptive names, so we understand the price is for what, and we understand that the quantity of what and the name is actually name of what. So if we do this, maybe we should be printing these placeholders like that. Gonna call it here. Gonna have a really nice message here that says item purchased, like that. And we are going to also print the item quantity, like that, and then we place it, we separate it by a comma, and then we add the actual placeholder for the variable that has the quantity, and then after that we are going to print the item price per unit, like that, and separated. So the message is going to be separated by a comma, and then we are going to list the item price like that. Now, if I run this code, what's going to happen? It's asking me to enter the item name. I like chips, so I'm just going to enter chips here like that. And now it's asking me for the quantity. I'm gonna get 3 bags of chips, and the price per unit, say it is $3.99, like that. So as you can see, we got exactly what we typed from the keyboard. So we printed the item that we purchased was chips, and the quantity was 3, and the item price was $3.99. All right. So now it will be most useful if we actually use these guys to derive a total for the item that I purchased. So the total is supposed to be, so let's see here, now we are going to so we basically prompt the user here. I'm sorry, I'm trying to summarize what we did. So we entered some digits, we entered some fractions, and this is basically accepting data such as not just names. So we entered the name here of an item, we entered a quantity, which is a digit, we entered a fraction, and then we printed them. Now let's do some math operations, which is basically like total price calculation, like that. So ideally what we need to do, getting the total here, should be the total should be equal to the quantity. I know that we don't have a variable called quantity. I just want to make sure that this is commented out. So the quantity times the price per unit. This is the formula that we are going to be programming for the item that we just purchased here. So now I don't have a variable that's called item total. So I'm just going to create a placeholder here that will hold the actual total. So now the quantity here is already stored in something called item quantity, and then times the item price, which is the price per unit. If I do this and I print, you might be a little surprised, like that. Now I am going to be prompted again to enter the same information, because that's the idea here for using the software online. It doesn't allow me to run block by block, so I have to run this whole code again from the beginning. So I'm gonna enter again the items that I bought were chips. This time I'm gonna buy 5 and $2.99 instead of $3.99. And now is telling me I have some issues here. I'm trying to multiply some non-integer as a string. Like I said, you might be surprised to get this and thinking, why is it giving me a hard time? I thought I did everything right. You did, but what you did not keep in mind, that these guys, when you enter them from the keyboard right here, even though they look like numbers and fractions, these still are actually considered strings. They are not considered integers or digits, or not considered fractions. So for this to be actually for you to see this in a way that will make sense, Python does not provide a type for the data type. You have to, every time you want to find out the type of this guy here, for instance, you have to apply a function called a type, and you have to print it to be able to see the actual type of the variable here. Unlike some other languages, they allow you to do an int, and then you do the quantity like that, TI like that, and then you put 5. So here in some languages, they allow you to do an integer, and then you know the type in advance. However, Python does not do that. Python is a non-type language. It does not specify the type. The type is driven on the fly based on the value that you store in it. So let me show you the difference here. Now I'm going to print the type. of the price, and you will be seeing why we're getting these errors. Right now we're not going to get the errors because we commented out these guys. So now I'm going to enter my chips again. I'm going to have my bag of chips, 5 bags of chips for $2.99, and it's basically telling me that the type of these guys are a class of type string. So strings cannot be used. They're not qualified to do the math operations that we expect. Therefore, we need to actually work with them differently. And how do we work with them differently is by converting these strings into an integer in this case, because it is because it's a quantity. The quantity is a solid number. It doesn't have any fractions, which is exactly why we had to convert it into an integer. And here we are going to convert this into a float to make it a fraction. And this guy will be storing whatever it is that we are going to be calculating on the right hand side. So if we do this now, and we've already done the purpose of that, so I'm going to get rid of these guys. Now if I run this code one more time, here's my bag of chips like that, and the quantity is 5 and $3.99 this time. Now it's telling me that the value here is 1995 point, this very long fraction here. Clearly, if you have your calculator and you do this math, you will find out that it is indeed the value for that. So I really don't like this very long fraction here, so I'm going to show you another trick. So if we want to work with this fraction here, we know that we can actually use a function called a format function. It's a built-in function. If I remember the syntax correctly, it takes the value that I want to use, and then I want to format it to 2 fractions, only 2-digit fraction after the. So I really want, what I want is 1995. I don't want any of these guys. So I just want to get rid of everything else. I could make it 3 digits after the fraction, 4 after the fraction. For the time being, I just want to make it appear like looks like 1995. This is good enough for me. And if I do this, I still want to print it like that. By applying the print function, and then I'm going to run this code one more time again to show you that the 5 bag of chips, the quantity, and then we got them for $3.99, and it showed me here that 1995 with all long fraction, because I still printed it before I formatted it, and then I printed after the formatting here. So as you can see, the 1995 is indeed the value that I wanted. We could have also done this nicely by having another function here that says the value after formatting to 2 fractions, 2-digit fraction, like that. I'm a little annoyed by these guys that show up here. It's too much help from this software, but I won't complain because it's coming really nicely for anyone who's trying to learn Python without downloading anything. So I guess it's a downfall for this tool. So what I need to do here is to say the value before formatting, the value before formatting, like that. And now we have the same destiny of running one more time the bag of chips. We have 5 of them, and we, as you can see, we have the 5 here, and then we also buy it for $3.99. And this is going to tell me that the value before the formatting is 1995, and after the formatting with the very long 00003, and here after the formatting is to 2-digit fraction is 19. I think this is really good for now. Maybe next time, what we need to do is to see how we can do this, how we can perhaps work with more with working with more items and more variables, and also maybe making decisions based on the price or the quantity. Like if you buy, say, one item, they get the other one for free or something like that. So we can make some decisions if the item is on sale, and so on. So this is good for now. Maybe we'll also take a look at functions, maybe if time allows. It's now the limit of 15 minutes, so we will stop right here, and we'll take it on the next one. Thanks for watching.